the name of Vienna Insurance Group. It's a big pleasure to have you all here today in the Ringturm, which is one of the famous buildings in Vienna, which is fully owned by Vienna Insurance Group. I will shortly make a few words, so we'll have a few words about Vienna Insurance Group to introduce Vienna Insurance Group to you. Vienna Insurance Group is a very, let's say, old company, which will in 2024, which is in 2 years, we will have our 200th anniversary, so we're a very old company. We are the biggest insurance company in Austria, but also in Central and Eastern Europe, which is, let's say, we were first mover in Central and Eastern Europe. That's why we are there the leader. We are at the moment active in around 30 countries, or in 30 countries we are active, and this is very important for us. We are leading insurance company in many countries, and this is especially in Austria, the Czech Republic, in Slovakia, and in Hungary, which are the countries which are surrounding Austria. And this is also, let's say, these are the core countries of the old Austrian-Hungarian Empire. And so for us, psychologically, it's very important to be the leading insurance company in this market. Just a few figures now on the insurance company group. We have a turnover, which is a premium volume in insurance of 12 billion euros. We have a profit every year of between 500 and 600 million euros. We have around 25 to 30,000 employees now. We had 25,000, but we made some acquisitions, so we have now close to 30,000 employees and around 20 million customers. Now, Vienna Insurance Group is now playing in the international field, but there are two things which are very special for the Vienna Insurance Group, which differentiates us a lot from other international big players, from other large insurance giants like Allianz, Generali, Thirring. We are a listed company, of course, but we have a free float of 28%, and the rest, the 72%, so our major shareholder is a mutual. This is something which is very different to other international groups, which are fully depending on the financial market. We are, as a major shareholder, we have a mutual. This has, of course, first of all, it has a big influence on the way we act, because this mutual, as I explained before, exists already since almost 200 years, and so long-standing success is a very important part of our DNA. This is very big, we think very in long terms. We don't think of next quarter, we think really in many years and many ages. Of course, this is a big advantage because, I don't know how familiar you are with the construction of a mutual, but a mutual means that the insurance policy holders own the company, which is a very special construction, which exists, to my point of view, to my knowledge, only in insurance, which of course means you own yourself. So we are owning ourselves, let's say it this way. This has, of course, advantages and disadvantages, so we don't depend on others. But of course, on the other hand, our access to the financial markets are limited, of course, because of this. Which means, of course, we have to have a lot of discipline in our work, which we do, because the worst which can happen that we would depend on others for money. Let's say it very simple, that we need capital from others. This is in this construction not possible. We can only rely on ourselves and not on others. That means, of course, we have to be very disciplined in the work which we do on a day-to-day basis. This is one thing which makes us very different from other big international insurance companies, international groups. And the second thing is a more strategic, let's say, business strategic momentum which we have, and this is we really count on local entrepreneurship in our 30 countries where we work in. Local entrepreneurship means that we rely on the people which we have in the countries. We give them freedom as far as business is concerned. Of course, there are certain things which we have to let's say, look for centrally, which is compliance, for example, or let's say risk, of course, this we have to take care of. But the business is absolutely local. This is very different to other international groups, which are very centralized. That also means that we have to employ different kind of people in the countries. We need entrepreneurs, and not only people which execute central strategies. So this is a big difference. There are of course other differences, but I don't want to take too long now into my presentation of Vienna Insurance Group. So to summarize, we are the biggest insurance group in Austria and Central and Eastern Europe, active in 30 countries. In many of these countries leading insurance company, insurance group, and of course, very important, we are owned by a mutual. You know this very well because you're the supervisory board of this mutual, and this is really a very special situation in the comparison to other, let's say, international groups, and maybe this fact that we have to rely on ourselves. We cannot depend on others, on the financial strength of others. We have to be on our own successful. This is maybe also something which is a connection to today's spirit of the meeting, which is also something I think today is very important, that not rely on others, but rely really on our own capabilities. This is very important. So thank you, and I pass on.
Thank you very much, Dr. Thirring. If it were for me, you could talk about VIG forever. With the numbers you present every year or every quarter at the board meetings, I think this is very good to listen to. But thank you for being our host tonight, and also thank you to your wife for being host here. And I would also like to thank our partners and sponsors, because this is the first thing that I always do when we are able to celebrate not only Hayek Life, but Hayek Lifetime Achievement Award. And our special guest of honor, Dr. Emilio Pacheco from Indiana, is here today with us. Actually, originally, of course, as you all know, from Venezuela, but he has been a resident of the US for very, very long. Emilio, warm welcome and thank you. Of course, apart from VIG, evenings like that would not be possible, and I would like to thank our partners and sponsors, and let me start with Magister Christoph Trauni from St. Stephen's Capital. Thank you. I would like to thank Dr. Stefan Zapotocki from Ronny Petzig Foundation. I would like to thank Pipo Barnfels from AXA Investments. And then, of course, I would also like to thank our special guests from Liberty Fund who made the way to not only to accompany Dr. Pacheco, but I would like to introduce to you as well Dr. Shelby, who is the president of Liberty Fund. The chairman of the board of Liberty Fund, Nate Feldman. And his colleague, Terry Anker. Of course, is important if we celebrate things like that. This is only possible if you have a family behind that supports and helps. And I do not only consider Ines and Adam Moss, who are, Ines is Dr. Pacheco's daughter, who is representing the family with her husband here. Welcome. Came all the way from Jamaica, but talking about family, I would also like to thank our board of the Hayek Institute and also the Austrian Economics Center. And from the Hayek Institute board, I have Dr. Florian Krenkel. Dr. Emil Joholt. Dr. Markus Tomaschitz. Dr. Georg Vetter, and the lady who is looking at the numbers and figures, Magister Ursula Scheff. But of course, there are many other guests of honor. And I also would like to mention we are starting a new publication program. Dr. Stix will be in charge of that at the Hayek Institute. Talking about the guests of honor, Mr. Gislersen, Dr. Professor Gislersen from Iceland. Who will deliver a special speech tonight. And he promised to be a little bit shorter than Dr. Pacheco. He says he would limit it to 1.5 hours, since Dr. Pacheco insisted on 2 hours. So be prepared for a very long evening. We also have a special attraction, and I mentioned already Hayek Alive. And Professor Klausinger was co-publishing this first volume of only 800 pages of Hayek Alive together with our colleague Bruce Caldwell, who unfortunately could not make it, but Professor Klausinger will give a presentation later on. Without further ado, I would also like to mention and thank all the partners and sponsors who have been with us and have been supporting us, like Tanya and Stephen Heinz, for example, and many others who have been big friends and supporters of freedom, individual freedom, and also entrepreneurial freedom, and constantly fight for that. And I think the fight for freedom on the individual side, but also on the entrepreneurial side, needs a huge applause. Those who keep up on that front. Without further ado, I would simply say, let's get started. The program tonight will be interesting, plentiful, very spontaneous, as is Hayekian, as we all know. And feel free to make use of those little cards, as Brit, head of office, pointed out, and without Mrs. Scheer, probably we would not be in the shape as that we are. So look at the table names and look at the last page, and never forget that we are people, or we are a group of think tanks that believes in competition, self-responsibility that you already mentioned, Dr. Ting, before, but also in markets. And that we rely, of course, on the partnership that our sponsors present to us and the support that they present. So thank you very much for joining us. I wish you all a wonderful, interesting, delightful evening, and we're looking forward to great conversations, and thank you again for hosting us here.